everybody. I thought I would do an update here. I am in the south of France. And we are sort of on holiday, sort of working and doing work to the house and so on. I tried to give you a background of the view out the window, but unfortunately it's not cooperating because of the light, and I'm just on my iPhone, so it's not the most sophisticated equipment, so I apologize in advance about sound and all the rest of that. But if I'm just going to take me out of focus here, which I'd happily do, and show you the window past me into wine country, so pretty spectacular. As I say, it was my ambition to try to have that be the background of this video, but unfortunately the light is not cooperating with me. It's really spectacular out there, and give you a little more in a view of the cypress there. And yeah, so I'm just I'm sat in the little guest house now. I thought I would do an update on just a couple little stitchy bits and pieces. So France, as probably many of you know, is a country that loves to do needlepoint, which is also big in the States, obviously. In the UK, we tend to do more hand embroidery, so different hand embroidery techniques. So coming down here, there are a lot of different kinds of needlepoint resources, really. So that can blend into embroidery a little bit, and obviously there's a fair amount of crossover in terms of the threads and so on, but the books and the magazines tend to be a lot of needlepoint. And I picked up a couple of those that I thought were really pretty, and it's amazing, you know, there's there are a couple big supermarket chains down here, but one of them is called Carrefour, and Carrefour is everywhere. It's I actually don't know what an equivalent would be in America. In the UK, it's kind of like the equivalent of Sainsbury's, as in it's like everywhere. It's across the country. I can't think of a grocery store chain that's across America, but America's so big. But Carrefour is across France, and actually you can find it in other countries in Europe as well. And their little ones are ones that are gas stations, and then they're big, massive ones. And the big, massive ones have big magazine sections, as you'd expect. Probably it's maybe even like a bigger part than it would be in a big American grocery store, certainly in a British one. There's like a lot of books, and there's a huge Sudoku section and things like that. The Carrefour just tends to be kind of book oriented, and it blurs the line a little bit between like books and magazines. So magazines are kind of going that direction, aren't they? Like some come out kind of 4 times a year now, or twice a year, and then it's kind of like, is it a book or is it a magazine? So there are a couple needlepoint magazines here in France, and one is called Main Marveille, for example, and they do some periodical ones, and well, they're all periodicals, but they have some that are monthly periodicals, and then there are some that come out kind of once a year or twice a year that are specialty editions. And I was blown away because I went into the Carrefour here and I was looking at the magazine section, and I was looking for a lot of different things. So of course I like to pick up the fashion magazines. I was picking up a couple swimming pool magazines, 'cause that's something we're thinking about right now, and some home decor magazines. And then I thought, well, who knows, maybe they'll have some stitchy stuff. And I always look for stitchy magazines in the UK and hardly ever find anything. There's an embroidery magazine that I believe is British, but then Inspirations obviously is Australian, and it's pretty hard to find. I always pick mine up at the Royal School of Needle Workshop because they have the latest edition and, you know, usually some past editions too. But I can never really find it anywhere else. So when I was in the Carrefour here, I was thinking, you know, maybe it's a long shot to find something, but they actually did have quite a big section of needlepoint magazines. There were probably 7 different needlepoint magazines. I mean, a lot of them were of the same brand, but they were different months, or kind of some of them were these more limited edition ones, which was really cool. So I picked up a couple of those. So I picked up this Broderie magazine, which I am not familiar with. It says Les Ouvrages de Nina. And I think she makes books as well, because I also picked up a book that I saw of hers in town, and I'll put a photo of that up on my Instagram. But this has some really lovely patterns in it. So there's like some beautiful embroidery work that has like some silk shading style, and then there's also some needlepoint. So the French do a lot of this, where they do needlepoint onto towels. So you can buy a towel that has like a section for needlepointing, and that's really very sweet looking. Cute. And then, yeah, some needlepoint patterns. So it's a mix of embroidery and needlepoint, and then it's got the iron-on patterns in the back, which is cool and convenient. So I picked that up, which I thought was sweet. And this is a periodical. I think it's a monthly periodical, because this is June's, and this was €6.50, so not inexpensive. I mean, get a couple of these and you've bought a book. And it probably doesn't have as many patterns, but I thought it was sweet. And then I got a couple of, so I got this needlepoint, and I went to the magazine section at Carrefour, and they had tons of needlepoint magazines there. And this was just one of them, and it was the one that I liked the best. So a lot of them were by this company, so I think it's this magazine Création Point de Croix. So that's the kind of brand, Création Point de Croix, so creation of needlepoint, needlepoint creations. And they have different periodicals, and then this seems to be like a specialty, specialty edition that they put out. There are a few different things in here, and I'm going to pull it up. So the first is this book, and this is a botanical collection in needlepoint, and on the back it shows the images of the things that you can make, which are quite beautiful botanicals. They're kind of like the cool botanical prints that you often find. These are just needle-pointed versions of them. And then inside there are all sorts of like botanical inspired needlepoint designs. So like this one, for example, which is roses. And then after it shows you that, it'll show you the chart for it, for example, on the next page. This is sweet. This is for gardeners, so it's got like a carrot and some greens, and again the pattern follows. And then they give you some flowers. So this is a cosmos flower really stunning, really fine work, really beautiful. I love how they do this with the threads there, so you have all of the colors you're working from. It's quite neat. Yeah, so then this is a section on vegetables. And some blue flowers. It's really beautiful. So the whole thing has like a botanical theme. This is cool. These are herbs. Really, really lovely. Yeah, stunning, really stunning stuff. So that's the first book that comes in the pack. Is the botanical theme. And then there's another one that's called Four Seasons. And you can see on the front, so the back is like a pretty flower print. And the front has some different seasonal prints. And then as you go through it, it's similar. So in the beginning, the first section is different kinds of like spring ideas. And then it will give you the charts for those. And what's neat is that it shows you the designs, but then also it shows you them, like how you would execute them onto something, so how you would finish them. So yeah, lots of really cute, there's some like children inspired ones. So this is like little sailors, which is very sweet. And again, the patterns follow all the time. This is really beautiful, kind of floral wreath. And then a version on a tablecloth, which is stunning. Now we get into summer. This is cute. They've got needlepoint on bands that they've then put on some jars and vases. And here on a tea towel, kitchen towel. And yeah, it's really lovely because the patterns are beautiful, but then as I say, it shows you, how to finish them. And then you get into winter, some winter ideas. So really cute. So that's book number 2. And then at the back of this book, they show you, they have their whole collection of magazines. So that's neat as well, because you could then see if there was an issue that you liked in particular, and then obviously try to chase that issue down. So these are all the Création Point de Croix, and there's Christmas specific ones, and just all sorts of different. So it says it's for the monthlies. It's $7.50 for the first, I think, and €5 for each subsequent, and then the specialty ones range from €5 to €10, it looks like. So that's the second thing, and then there's actually a third that comes in the pack, and this. So again, it's in this plastic sleeve, and it also comes with some threads. And it's interesting because every book of every needlepoint magazine I saw at this shop had threads in it. Every single one. So that seems to be a thing. They all come in a plastic sleeve, and then they give you the threads for one of the projects. So they're all DMC. And so this is the third pack. It came with this, and then it gave you 3 DMC colors. And these are actually really beautiful colors. So this is, in particular, this is like a really soft kind of mink color. So it's like a beige with a slight hue of pink. And then this is a kind of silvery blue color. And then this is like I would say like a pinky brick color. So it's that kind of orangey red, but with a pinky undertone to it. It's really beautiful. The three look beautiful together. I don't think these are full skeins. They're really flat, so it's hard to tell. This says that it's, yeah, they can't be sold separately. They're 4 meters each. I'm not sure how long typically DMC is. I have a feeling this is about half a skein. And then that came with this little booklet. And this is Jan-Feb 2018. And this is all kind of different patterns in here. First, there's a little bit at the beginning about some new books that are out in the needlepoint world. In fact, I saw this white workbook yesterday. It was really beautiful. This is very sweet. I don't know if you know the story of the Little Prince, Le Petit Prince, but there's a needlepoint book just of him. Cute, 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 cute. A whole book on cacti, which are obviously really trendy right now. And then it gets into patterns. So this is a bag with a fox on it. And his pattern follows. Let's see what else. I'm going to show you something that was not on the cover. This is sweet. This is like a ski pass. And we've got a couple pillows. These are so French looking to me, you know, just really classic kind of French sensibility. This is the January-February edition, so it's quite wintry in theme. And so you get, there's some table linens that are very kind of Valentine's Day. But if you stitched a bunch of those, that would make a really beautiful table. Very often you see kind of needlepoint and used for, very often you see needlepoint used for wall hangings. But these magazines I find are really great for helping you to see other versions of you know, well, other uses, I should say. This is a tea towel, like a kitchen towel, with a flag of Alsace on it. Sorry, that's backwards. And like the little motifs of Alsace, which is really cute. There's like a pretzel and a stork, and bottled wine, beer. This is like an ornament with a sweet bunny rabbit wearing a scarf. So again, very wintry in theme. Lots of really pretty things and some really good finishing ideas. And then again at the back they have their kind of collection of different publications. So this is one of the really big needlepoint magazines here in France, and then Man et Merveilleux is the other one that you see a lot, and they also put out books. And so that was the first thing. That was kind of a cool discovery. And then I was in one of the big market towns near here a few days ago, and there is a beautiful interior shop there that sells towels and bedding and just all sorts of kind of textile related home things and pillows and things like that. But they also sell fabrics for covering outdoor tables, which is certainly, I think the French were one of the first to invent this product, which is it's like a linen that has a plastic coating that you can use for outdoor tables. I remember my mom coming over to France to buy that, probably 20 years ago when she was buying for her store. And, you could get these beautiful Provence prints that were printed on linen or cotton, and then had that kind of coating put on them so it could withstand the outside. And as I say, I'm pretty sure the French invented that concept. And to this day, you can find some nice ones in the UK. John Lewis has a selection of some cute prints, but often the ones that look the most natural. So the ones that you find at John Lewis, just kind of, it might be a cute print, but it looks like just plastic kind of on your table still. And often the French ones, you really still see the texture of the linen, and it looks like a linen fabric, but it just has the coating on it. It almost seems like the coating is on the thread rather than the fabric itself. I don't think it is. I think it is on the fabric, but it almost looks like it's on the threads. And so you still get the appearance of linen on the table, but it's just waterproofed. And so this is a shop that sells that, and they sell it in a classic linen color. They also sell it in a white linen, which I've always thought, wow, is that really, because it still feels fairly fabric-like, is that really not going to stain? And I haven't bought it yet, but it's on my wish list, and I think the white would be cool to try. So they sell those, and they sell printed versions of them. And basically, you could probably just literally cut it and put it on the table as is, because I think the plastic probably prevents any fraying. But if you wanted it to look even neater, you could, of course, just throw a quick seam around the edge. So they sell things like that, anything that's kind of textile related, and a lot of it feels quite finished. So they have, beautiful finished sheet sets and beautiful blankets and things. And then in one section of the shop is all more sort of DIY. So they have yarns and lots of yarns, lots of knitting. I think, that's quite big here in this country is knitting. And they have some quilting things, a bunch of like fat quarters and so on. And then they have a section for embroidery threads. And again, I took some photos, so I'll put those up on my Instagram. So Anchor is British and DMC is French. And so they have, most French shops will have a big selection of DMC threads. So they had that. And then they had a ton of DMC perle threads. So I usually find it very easy to find the 6-stranded cotton, which is, of course, used in embroidery a lot because you can separate the strands and get quite fine. The perle is quite thick, and you can't separate it, or it's not designed to be separated. So I don't tend to use it that often, but for certain effects I will, when I want like a fatter line, for example, of course. And they had just that in every single color imaginable, and so again I put that up on Instagram. But I picked up a couple little bits there, which I'll show you. So one, I got this embroidery hoop, which I thought was just adorable. It's a little bear, and actually this is made by DMC. Afterwards, I looked it up on Google, and you can find it other places. They do seem to sell it in the UK, so they probably sell it in the United States as well. And I think they sell smaller versions. So ultimately, I think this is designed to hang on a wall. So you put something into it, and then it's just kind of a cute hoop for wall art, basically. And I'm sure you could paint it and so on. But I thought it would be fun to buy as a gift for my daughter, and I'm not sure I'm going to give it to her just yet because I don't think she's quite ready for it. But she's, at an age where she's taking an interest in just a lot of things that she watches me do generally. But she has been interested in my embroidery, and it's cool because I've got this project I'm working on at home, which I haven't really had a chance to share with you guys, and I will take pictures and do that, I promise. But at the moment, it's sort of like a big circle, and it's got kind of rays going out because it's going to be a calendar, sort of a circular calendar, and she thinks it's a sun, and so she often asks me if Mommy, we can go work on my sun together, which is really cute. So she'll come over with me and help me kind of pull the needle up through the cloth and down through the cloth, and she loves that. And she's only 4, so her fine motor skills are still developing. I think if I were able to give her quite a chunky needle, she could do some things. I don't know that she'd really be able to, learn stitches yet per se and execute them, but she could certainly get the needle through the cloth and create stitches, even if she's not able to create the same length over and over again, and so on. And so I thought this would actually just be when she does reach the point where she can get, a little bit more able to do it. And that's probably kind of 6-9 months away. I thought this would be a fun hoop for her to work in and just to be cute. I'm not sure if the tension will be good enough on this for her to work, because I actually think probably for children having quite good tension would be very helpful to them. It just makes it less likely the fabric will get caught up in their needles and things. So obviously I haven't tried the tension on this. It may be that it's really better suited to just decoration and not working in, and that's okay. If that's the case, that's what we'll do, and we'll hang it in her room, but hopefully she can also work in it, which would be cool. And I hadn't seen these before. It's really cute. I was happy to find it. When I looked online, there was also a bunny version, and as I say, there were some smaller ones. And then the other thing that I picked up at that shop was some threads. So these are a fine wool thread, and the company is called Saint Pierre. I've seen these before, I've worked with these before. They are sold at Sajou in Paris, and that's where I had bought them previously. And they come in just absolutely beautiful colors. So yeah, this just says it's made in France. And it can be washed up to 60 degrees. It's actually half wool and half polyester. Polyester probably helps to give it some strength. It's 40 meters long, and it's cut in 4 strands of 10 meters each. And it's for decorating and embroidering. It says Au Chinois in the top right corner, and I'm not sure why. That implies something about from China, but it does say it's made in France, so I don't know what the backstory is there. But anyway, it's really beautiful. It's, as I say, so it looks and behaves like a wool, but it's very fine. And so typically when you work in wool threads in the UK, certainly at the Royal School of Needlework, they use Appleton's wool, which is a fairly fluffy wool. And when you apply tension to it, it gets relatively fine. It looks quite fluffy on the skein. I don't have any examples with me, I don't think. But it comes in a broad range of colors, and you can get a color card from them to help with that. But it is, as I say, what the Royal School of Needlework uses, and it's a British company. But sometimes I like to work with wool that's a bit finer, and that's what this is good for. So I have an idea for something I'm going to do in my children's room, and so I wanted to get some colors for that. These are not inexpensive. They're €2 each, which is a lot. And you might be able to find them for a little bit cheaper than that. But I, really wanted to support this shop because it's increasingly hard to find shops, of course, that sell needle supplies. And so I wanted to give them my business. I'm trying to show you all the colors at once. Which may not be totally possible. So I got this is like a medium charcoal gray color. This is a just off white. And then I got a few shades of like soft browns. So this is one. This is a lighter one. This is like a purpley tint to it, actually. This is an olivey brown, more like a sage. And then a kind of a dusty pink, a darker charcoal, and a blue-gray. So the palette all sits nicely together. It has that kind of gray, dusty look. If you can see that. So I picked all of those up, and I think there's 10 here, and they were €2 each, so it came to €20, which is not inexpensive. But I think it's a beautiful yarn, so as I say, I wanted to give them a business. So I picked those things up, and I'm going to work on a project for down here, which I will keep you guys updated on. And then I also, at the market, so that was at a shop that's near the market that runs in the town. And then at the market, I also picked up a couple of embroidered pieces that have been machine embroidered. So I thought I'd show those to you guys because they're really beautiful. So this was from a stand that sells curtain supplies, and all of these are fabricated in France. So curtain, it's about this long, so not very long. It's about the length of my head, and it has machine white work on it. So it's all like a lot of overlocking and then some running stitch basically. And then it has these sort of sweet pea, I think they're sweet peas, flowers embroidered on them. And again, all machine done, but really beautifully done. And it comes on a bolt, and it can be cut between the bits of white work here. So it's basically finished and ready to go. When you buy it, all you have to do is run a bar, for lack of a better word, through it, and it kind of will bunch together and form a curtain. And obviously it's quite short, so you would use this probably decoratively across the top of a window. And I thought it was really beautiful. It's all synthetic. It's not silk or anything. It was not very expensive. It was €10 for 2 pieces of a meter each, so really inexpensive for how beautiful it is. I really think it's quite exquisite, and if put up properly in the right location, I think it'd be really beautiful. I don't quite know where that's going to be yet, but I wanted to snag it. I had quite a lengthy conversation with the man at the stand, and he was talking a lot about how these companies, all this stuff is made in France. It's actually made, I think he said, near Burgundy, just south of Burgundy, maybe. Maybe he said it was closer to Lyon. Which is south of Burgundy. But a lot of France, lace in France is made in Calais, which is where I think the lace being made, but that's generally where lace for apparel is made. And so he was saying that actually the area that makes these is closer to Burgundy, and that a lot of these companies are going out of business because it's now being replaced by companies in China. And, that happens. And it's happened in the textile industry a lot too. And I've worked for a lot of different fashion brands in my career where we buy products from all over the world. And so I've had a lot of conversations with European textile manufacturers over the years about how the business is moving to China. And actually, subsequently, it's moved on from China too, because even China has had changes in their labor laws and things. And so now you have lots of other countries making the kinds of things that used to be made in China. So, things keep changing, and it keeps moving on. And in the grand scheme of history, the change happens very, very rapidly as it moves in and out of these countries. But I do think that different countries bring different kinds of sensibilities and different eyes to the process, and they probably, each one is improving and changing, but also different. And so, for example, in the industry that I work in, in clothing, a lot of the textiles used to come from Italy, and I still use a lot of Italian textiles. But that's a whole other story that I'll get into another time, just sort of the processes around that and how much of it is Italian and what the Italians do, because they don't make all of the cloth from scratch in a lot of cases anymore. They kind of do parts of the process that are, important to lending their signature to the product. But it's still true that, and I think, anybody would say that they are still Italian mills that really know how to do something quite special from many years of doing it. And that's not always replicable. And partly that's because of the machines that they have that are very specialized. And some of these are old machines that aren't being made anymore. And some of it is just because of the eye that's been handed down. It's probably much like how a beautiful perfume gets made in France or beautiful wine gets made in France. Some of it is the equipment that they've had, and some of the older equipment can do really cool things that's labor intensive, but creates a really beautiful product. And some of it is just the generations learning things. And I personally have found, that a lot of the products I've seen out of France are really beautiful products, and you can tell that just they've been doing it for a long time and they have a very honed eye. And so even if something can technically be made somewhere else, you often don't find the same products visually. And I just really like the products that the French make. I find you walk around France, you walk around Paris, and it's just remarkable how many beautiful things there are that you come across, whether it's a building or a pastry shop or a meal or clothes, of course. They just have such an incredible eye for color, for shape, and for intricate details. I think the French do kind of feminine details really, really well. So floral patterns and things that are quite girlish looking. And that you see that in their pastries, and you see that in the outside of their buildings and the architecture, and you see it in their fabrics. So to me, this is such a distinctly beautiful French look, and to be able to do something to create a product that's really quite inexpensive but still really beautifully done is a real talent. And the French have managed to do that. And so I wanted to support that, even though I don't have an exact location for it yet. I'm sure I will. And then similarly, I bought another set of curtains. Again, these have been machine embroidered. It might be hard to show these on screen. So it's two of the same. So I'll just pull up one. And it has, again, overlocking around the outside edge and then some embroidered flowers, and it's on a true linen fabric, a very open weave linen fabric. And again, it has these overlocked holes across the top. Those have been pre-cut, so all you have to do is just slot a bar through it, and then they're just ready-made, basically. And these are about, I can't remember how many centimeters he said these were. They're about hip height down in any event. And I bought two of them, and I know exactly where they're going to go because I have a little space underneath our sink that needed some curtains to cover up. We're going to put like some laundry stuff underneath it. So I bought two of those. And two of these curtains and the other ones came to 40 euros each. So I think that is, I don't know what that is. I think that's about 35 pounds, I think. And I think that's probably about $60. I'm not exactly sure, but somewhere about that. Which I thought was quite a good price for all of it. And it's, really beautiful and basically just, out of the box, ready to use, but still has a lovely embroidered vibe to it, which is why I thought it was worth showing to you guys. And also, not something, it's quite cool the way that these things are sold. So, as I said, it was at a market. It was a stand that sold curtains. That was their specialty. and they had tons of different types and patterns, and mostly quite neutral colors, shades of white. A lot of them were very transparent, really fine linens, or really fine weave cottons. So it's a specific kind of look, but you do see over here in France, very often people hang sort of a transparent kind of cotton or linen curtain in their windows so that they still get a lot of light through, but it generates some privacy. So that's, quite an old-fashioned privacy solution, sort of before the days of frosted glass and things. And so this stand had a lot of products that were in that vein, I would say. And it was neat to go to the stand and kind of see them open and look at them and be able to get them in different lengths and buy them like that. It was kind of felt halfway between the experience of being in a shop and of finished products and a shop that sells fabrics. It wasn't like going into a Pottery Barn or into a John Lewis and picking like a ready-made finished curtain product, really, in the way you shopped it, as you say, because they had like 3 different lengths of everything, and a lot of them are connected by fine threads, and they cut them there. And I suppose you get a discount in a way for shopping that way, but you also get to see the products a lot better and have a conversation about what you need, and it was cool. It was a cool experience. So it felt like a good price to me. So those were the little things that I picked up. I regret now that I don't have that needlepoint magazines to show you, but maybe I'll do a separate video on those. And then down here I have a couple things to work on. So as I say, I'm doing something for the children's room that I'll share when it's finished, but I'm also going to do some signs for their doors with their initials, and I'm going to do that probably in silks. So I just brought with me I brought some silk ribbons, and these are river silks, and I have these in a ton of colors. And I brought a bunch of Versoix silk threads, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. I love these, use these all the time. These ones I pulled out are stranded cotton, but I brought a bunch of their others as well. And I brought some different fabrics to play around on. So I brought a silk damask in white, so you can see that has a nice little sheen to it, to do some of the ribbon and silk work on. And then I brought a piece of linen, and I believe this is Belfast linen, which says white Swigart, I think. And I brought a finished tea towel, and I picked this up at the Shop Noel, which is a French shop, and it's spectacular. I've done, I think, if not a video, then definitely some Instagram on them before. They sell both finished embroidered products, hand embroidered generally, or they also sell some kits, very limited kits, but they do have some. And this is a tea towel of theirs, and it's linen, it's a herringbone linen, and it's really beautiful. And so I bought that at their shop, and I'll put a link to their company below so you can have a little peruse to do some work on. And then, so this is just a bag of some ribbons and silk threads, all different colors. You can see some of the Versoix that I am going to be working with while I am down here. And then, just for good measure, I brought a kit with me. So this is a silk shading kit from Bluebird Embroidery, and I think her name is Helen Richmond, I want to say, who runs Bluebird Embroidery. She's incredibly talented. She's also one of the Royal School of Needlework instructors, and this is a kit of hers, and it comes with the threads and the linens, and I brought it really just to practice my silk shading. I generally like to use kits to help me learn stitches and help me get better at things, and sometimes when I just want some mindless stitching rather than, you know, doing the design work and having to conceive of what all the stitches are going to be myself. And then just to show you what else I brought to have with me down here, my embroidery stitch Bible, which is a don't leave home without it kind of a piece of kit for me. And in terms of what I'm stitching on, I brought my seat frame and a couple different size hoops. So I can really get by with this under most circumstances in life, but I have my big standing frame, my Millennium frame at the house, which I obviously don't bring to travel with me. That's back in London. So yeah, so those are a couple bits and pieces that I picked up, and a couple pieces that I'm going to be working on down here. So I thought I'd just share that with you all. That's it really. I'll give you another little look at the view here before I part. I'm not sure if you can see any of the actual vines for growing grapes from here. Maybe you can. This is mostly Malbec and Cabernet Franc is grown around here. So if we see any vines, that's probably what they are. But I don't think I see any. And that's about it. Hope you guys are all well, and you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch up with you soon. Don't forget to check out my Instagram. I'm going to put a lot of photos up there of things that I wasn't able to show you here today. So that's all. Talk to you guys soon.